Everybody is ignorant, only on different subjects. Will Rogers. Yes, I started off my video yesterday using a quote from Will Rogers. I like that one. What I don't like is that virtually everybody is ignorant on the same subject. How to live, how to eat. Of course, that's why we're in hell. And in fact, most people are so ignorant, they don't even know that there are 3 forms of ignorance. And I did a video on this specifically, and it's part of my Ultimate Solution playlist where I explain all of the pieces of the puzzle. Because this is a big part of the puzzle right here. Ignorance. We just don't know how to live. And again, we're so ignorant we don't even understand that there are 3 forms of ignorance. But the worst thing of all is that this ignorance is why we suffer. We suffer for a lack of knowledge. As a result, we live in hell. In fact, let me use an analogy here I was thinking of the other day. I haven't thought it out yet, but I'm going to think it out as I go, and let's see if I can have it make sense. Imagine there's a door right over here, and on this side of the door, it's hell. It's like in Plato's cave. Don't have the knowledge of how to live, so we have hundreds of thousands of problems that are within our control. Now we got a door right over here. All we got to do, grab that door, open it up, and on the other side we've got paradise. And all that is a place where we don't have all these problems that are 100% within our control. Now what we've got on this planet is there are obstacles that keep us from getting to that door. And I explained that in my special teaching tool. Another way of looking at this relative to my special teaching tool, if we look at the first stage of knowledge, the plus A box of knowledge is what's on the other side of that door. It's the knowledge we need. That's the beginning of paradise. We're on this side of the door, which is the negative A box of false knowledge down there on the bottom. And then there's that doorway, the negative A plus A doorway, where we have 19 obstacles. 19 reasons why we don't know. The other 2 forms of ignorance, that remember there's 3 altogether. 2 of them, the first one, that's the number 1 problem of knowledge. We don't have the knowledge we need in the plus A box of knowledge, and then we got false knowledge in its place. And that's the number 1 reason why we can't figure anything out, because we cannot learn anything when we think we already know. So those are the 2 forms of ignorance where we don't know. And then there are those 19 obstacles are obstacles that keep us from getting to this door. 12 sources of false knowledge and 7 witness factors. The number 1 source for false knowledge would be piece number 3 in my special teaching tool. Piece number 1, knowledge we need, the knowledge we don't have on how to live. Piece number 2, the false knowledge we have in its place. Piece number 3 is in that doorway. It's the main reason why we can't get a hold of that door. And that's the dark side of our behavior. Or in this particular case, it's the darkest of the dark side of our behavior. Or the worst of us, or the sickest of us. These are that small group of people. Bad people. Based on my last video. That don't have any good in them. Anybody who keeps us from getting to that door is a bad person. Am I being judgmental? I don't like to use the word good and bad that much, actually. I don't mind good and evil, because evil is the opposite of live, L-I-V-E, and that's what they tried to tell us. That's what makes us evil. When we don't live the right way, it's the opposite of living. I actually prefer to use the words right and wrong, but that can get you in trouble with a lot of people too. A lot of people are going to force their definition on you. But now wait a minute, there's over a dozen definitions for wrong. I choose this one right here. I'm not being judgmental. Oh, yes, you are, John. Anybody who uses it, they're being judgmental. No, I'm not. It's the right path and the wrong path. Right choices and wrong choices. I'm not being judgmental. When you go, or when you're entering into a freeway on an exit ramp and you see the word wrong way, are they judging you? No, it's right or wrong. There's no judgment here. good and bad does sound like there's a little bit of judgment involved there, doesn't it? Hard not to put judgment on that one. Are these psychopaths who don't let us get to the door, are they wrong? Yes. Are they bad? You're damn right they're bad. Are they evil? You bet they are evil. Anybody who keeps us on this side of the door suffering, anybody who keeps us from getting to that door is evil. Now, when I first started thinking about this analogy, and I didn't even, like I said, I haven't thought it out. Usually when I think of these things, I get out my tape recorder and start playing with it, but I never got around to doing that, so I'm kind of doing it now, just playing with it in my head. Hopefully I might tweak it and make it better if I need to. But I realize it's a lot harder than just opening up that door, right? You know, if I use that as an analogy. Initially I didn't tie it into my special teaching tool like I did now, so that sort of changes up my original thoughts. As you can see, I tweak things as I go. Every time I go back and revisit something, I might say a little bit different or add something that makes it different. Initially, but I thought, well, you can't just say, you know, what I wanted to do, obviously, is saying there's people that are keeping us from that door. All we got to do is open that door and we solve all our problems. Not that simple. Unless you look at that door as maybe a door to the caboose of a train that has 100 railroad carts on it, and they're all logically arranged so that you can't get to the next cart until you go through the first cart. Each cart logically connects. Sort of like Tolstoy's The First Step. If you want to go from the first story of a house to the second story, there's a sequence, an order of progression, an order of sequence in our choices. You got to start with the first step. So the same thing here with this railroad cart. You got to start at the caboose, and that's what this door does. And there are people who don't want us to get on this train. But that's really where we are. We are on the wrong side of the door. We're in Plato's cave. We're in hell. We've got hundreds of thousands of problems that are 100% within our control. A lot of problems that are where we have limited control, like acts of war, crime, and violence. They're still within our control, but limited. If we would correct the fall of mankind, those problems would go away. So that's the whole purpose of my message, of my YouTube channel, is to help us realize all we have to do is open up a door. That's how easy it is to get out of this hell. Because we're ignorant. Most of us are ignorant on the same subject. We don't know how to live. And we've got to get this knowledge out to people. They have to be aware of their options and their choices. Most people don't have this knowledge and are totally unaware of this option. And we got to work as hard as we can to help people know that there's nothing wrong with being ignorant, because no one can have knowledge of everything. That's impossible. But to be ignorant on how to live is going to be the reason why we die if we don't figure this out. I liked how Dr. Williams said, I don't mind dying, I just don't want it to be my fault. Exactly. And what's going to happen to pretty much everyone you know if they don't change? Pretty much everyone on this planet is going to ultimately die, and it's going to be their fault. In fact, it's their fault we're on the wrong side of the door. We got to get out of this cave of ignorance. We got to realize how powerful this knowledge is. We got to realize that we really do play a role when it comes to which side of this door we're on. We have to understand there are people who don't want us to get to that door. They don't want us to get on this train. They want the status quo to remain the status quo. And remember, folks, these guys are just a reflection of us. So there's no judgment involved here, but we have to recognize what's right and what's wrong. Nothing judgmental about that. We know we have a species-specific diet, the same as every other animal. The biggest problem, of course, is we're damaged. Got another group of needs right now. But we still have to respect our anatomical limitations we're given at birth. We just got to realize that we may have another set of anatomical limitations based on this damage. So, I've said this a million times, this is an exciting time to live. No other time in our history has there been a need for us to get united, to break through this door to how people know that it's not hard, it's not complicated. It's just as easy as opening up a door and stepping in, because the first step is always the hardest, isn't it? Any journey begins with the first step, and that's always the hardest, making the decision. Once you make the decision, it's easy, it's simple. Read the comments down below of people who finally made the decision. Sometimes it takes a year or so before you finally say, okay, I'm ready to try it now. I'm finally ready. I got all my ducks lined up in a row, as the saying goes. Not a good analogy for a person who doesn't want to hurt a duck. Got to work on that analogy. But the point is, of course, is that when the time is right, you'll finally do it. As long as you're aware of this, at least you have an option. But remember, for some of you guys out there, you don't want to wait till it's too late. Especially if you're uncertain. If you're not sure that what I'm saying is true, and the time comes where they say, okay, this is what we're going to have to do to you, cut, burn, and poison you, and they're going to scare the hell out of you. If you don't do it today, you're going to be dead tomorrow. If you don't have this experience under your belt, you might not have the confidence that you need to go ahead and do it when you need to do it. That's why you got to do it now. As soon as the time feels right to you, do it before a problem comes up. It's a whole lot easier to prevent a problem than reverse it. And don't forget, most of us have what we call a latent disease. A 103 in limbo. A few of my listeners will understand what that means. Anytime you don't understand anything I say, don't forget I have the Ultimate Solution playlist, 11-part video series. Identify all 281 pieces. I have the Ultimate Schematic. It's my special teaching tool where I identify everything. So if you're not sure what I'm talking about when I say the plus A box of knowledge and negative A box of knowledge, just check out my special teaching tool. If you haven't seen that yet, you're really missing out, folks. It uses knowledge in a way that's never been seen before. It will help you solve a lot of problems in all types of areas in your life, just by understanding these 3 stages of knowledge. And we can use this tool to see that our experts are taking the first step in the wrong direction. And then there's only one thing the rest of us can do to use the other part of logic, prove the contents. Remember, logic, there's the structure and the contents. The structure is the tracks. It's always one way, like my special teaching tool. And then the contents are the railroad carts on the track. In this particular case, we've got 100 railroad carts on this track of getting us back into paradise. And when we can finally get on that train and go through every one of those railroad carts, I guarantee you, we'll be in for a treat.